To my anti-Circ friends, please stop saying that I have no logic and that you are filled with logic because you ask me questions. You ask me, how come Europeans have very little AIDS? And the answer is Europeans had no influx of Haitians who had HIV, who were HIV positive, and therefore there was very little AIDS to begin with. It's gotten only through interaction with populations. The populations that have come through Europe have not been the infected ones. And so therefore you cannot compare European uncircumcised men to American circumcised men, very simply because they have had different circumstances. It's apples and oranges. A true comparison would be circumcised Europeans against uncircumcised Europeans. I gave you an example. The monks are not sexually active. They are, for the most part, uncircumcised. They have zero AIDS. Is that a proof? Of course not, because they're not sexually active. So you have to have apples and apples and oranges, not apples and oranges. Your arguments are specious. Regarding the effect of the sensitivity of the glands from the foreskin, I've answered you that the various studies, many studies, have indicated no appreciable differences. The fact that a person with a foreskin has more sexual sensitivity is only a partial aspect of his sexual satisfaction. The fact is that people with foreskins ejaculate prematurely on a greater average than those who are circumcised. And so the lesser sensitivity is counterbalanced by being able to not prematurely ejaculate. So therefore there is, in that facet of sexual activity, the sexual satisfaction basically is balanced. That's what they say. And therefore the final conclusion is there is no appreciable difference in lifestyle between an uncircumcised person and a circumcised person. And please don't give me the glider effect, and don't give me the Langerhorn cells and so on and so forth. The analysis of researchers, of many researchers, it's immaterial. And so now we come down to the basic things. You don't want to believe that there's a God. And I do believe that there's a God. You don't want to believe that God wrote the Torah. I do believe that God wrote the Torah. And therefore, there's nothing for us to discuss. You say human rights. Human rights are not necessarily natural. Human rights exist because either a society or God chooses to give them. I believe in God, and the human rights we have are given to us by God. God says, for the children of Abraham, you must circumcise at 8 days old, and it is to their benefit. You don't agree? That's your issue. That's your opinion. My opinion is different. You can't go ahead and take your values and try to impose them upon myself. I'm explaining to you that I believe in the Torah, and I also know that most of the studies, look, these are unbiased studies. They're not made by rabbis. Look up the Wikipedia articles. You will see study after study shows that there are benefits, according to most of the studies, for people who are circumcised as opposed to people who are not circumcised. There are some studies that are countering that. There's some arguments against it. Oh yeah, the American Medical Association, because they are secular, because they are liberal, because many Jews do not want to accept God, so therefore they're opposed to it. This is not a scientific argument. It is a prejudicial argument. It has nothing to do with the facts. It has to do with prejudice. People who are prejudiced automatically will say that circumcision is harmful. People who believe say circumcision is beneficial. And you know what? A lot of the studies, and in fact, I counted the studies, most of the studies are on my side, not your side. There is less AIDS, less STDs, less penile cancer, less urinary infections for circumcised males. And it's simple. Why? Because the circumcised male's member is cleaner. It doesn't need to be scrubbed as much. And that's a fact. And people are arguing about that. But that was the argument. When they started the anti-Circ argument in this town in Detroit, That was the argument, that you can counterbalance the cleanliness of the glands by scrubbing it several times a week. Yeah, you're going to get a kid in the third world that doesn't have a shower to scrub his member. Yes, very good. Very seichelic, very intelligent. This is the level of intelligence. Some of you have wished me to die. I am 64 years old. I'm not 80. And thank you very much for wishing me so well. I really think that you're very, very nice people out there, you anti-Circs. But that's my response to you.